Hello, there we go. Uh, how is everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of the Manifesting Me show. I am so excited to be here. And today we're going to be talking about the topic or the subject, idea, concept, if you will, of not knowing and whether that makes you uncomfortable or not. So I like to start off or incorporate a question in the stuff that, to get you thinking or just to kind of ask. Let me get that. Okay. Just to kind of pose out there or put it out there for you guys. So the question that I have for you today is, does not knowing scare you? And are you letting that keep you from living the life that you want to be living? And let me expand on that or clarify that a little bit. When I say not knowing, in this instance, I'm talking about not knowing what your big dream is, or if you even have one, not knowing what you want your life to look like, whether it's what it looks like now or something different, or who knows what. Maybe it's not knowing where to start making the changes or what the damn changes even are, right? That you either need or want to make in your life. And a big one, here's a big one, not knowing what your purpose is. So those are some big concepts, some big ideas for not knowing, but there are common ones. And it was something that kind of over the last few weeks or so has been kind of, I guess, percolating or formulating. And this topic has come up in several ways. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into my experience with that with this month's Lunar Lessons episode. And the Lunar Lessons episodes are strictly or exclusive. They're only, if you will, on the actual podcast platforms. That is not on a Facebook or Instagram Live like these weekly episodes are. So I'm going to be diving into that. So you know that this concept of not knowing has been something that has been in my awareness, my experience the last few weeks or so. So on this episode, though, I still want to dive into that a little bit and also share with you a way that I can help that is brand new and per my, what did someone say to someone once? Like when you do something, like when that's common for you, it's just like, oh, that's on brand. That's on brand. So pretty on brand for me. I very suddenly put something out there, made things available, changed things up a bit without a lot of previous or planning or foresight. So I'll get into that a little bit later on. But I want to talk a little bit about this concept of not knowing and how not knowing, I have some good news about that hopefully will help you shift the way that you see that and will help you through the process of shifting not knowing from a bad thing or something that deters you into something that is inspiring, even if at the same time it's a little bit scary. It's okay and absolutely common for those to both exist. And both can be true at the same time. You can be a little scared and feel a little, anxious even, or a little uncertain about not knowing, and know that that's a good thing and be okay with it. So that's kind of like the roundabout, the gist of the focus of not knowing that we'll be talking about today. So not knowing is a pretty good damn thing. And I had a moment where a sentence about not knowing jumped out at me. And I would say from a page, but I was listening to an audiobook And so it jumped out at me from my earbuds or my earphones when I heard this sentence. And of course, the universe's perfect timing, it fell right in the midst of this time where I'm with the concept and the idea of not knowing is something that I'm experiencing and dealing with, and being okay with that and learning to make friends with the words or the phrase I don't know, and making that not be a bad thing, letting that be an okay thing and a perfectly great place to be. Not knowing and saying I don't know, and not letting that mean something about me, something negative or something perceived to be negative about me, right? So, all this to say, the reason that not knowing is a good thing is because if you're, let's see, how can I percolate this from my brain out into words, cohesive, coherent words. When you're in a place of not knowing, I see that as you are either at a place where you're tired of following someone else's blueprint, following an expected blueprint, whether that's your expectation or other people's outside of you expectation. You're either tired of doing that, or possibly you've gotten to the point on purpose where you're like, I'm no longer going to follow someone else's blueprint. I'm not going to follow, or I don't want to any longer follow a blueprint that has been laid out for me. And so that's a great place to be, because when you are in the place of, I don't know what's next, I don't know what it looks like, I don't know what the next step is, that is you being on and creating your own path, your own experience, your own version of something. Now, there are times in life where following a blueprint or something is helpful or a great place to start, but I personally believe that everyone ultimately is here to create their own individual blueprint that really looks nothing like anyone else's. There will be parts that intersect, and like I said, places where a blueprint is a good starting point or a landing place or a place to recalibrate maybe. And there's all sorts of possibilities, but not knowing is a great place because you are in the process and on your own path that has not been explored before, has not maybe even been created before in your family circle, in your circle of friends. So you have absolutely no personal connection for a frame of reference. And that can be scary as hell. Sitting here, this is what I want, but I have no idea what that looks like. I have no idea what it feels like to do that. I have no idea of the steps, but we can always, I would say pretty much, just so that I don't say, and deal in absolutes, 99% of the time can identify, or we know, or can think of a step to take, or an action to take, or someone to ask for help to get us there, right? So there's always, I think, something we can do to start. Doesn't have to be a big step, and it doesn't have to be the final step, and you don't even have to know what's on the other side of that step. And so the sentence, I do want to share it, and I'm going to share the information in the description or show notes around this as well. But it is from a book. It's an audio. It's a regular book, but I was listening to it on audio. It's called No, I always want to say it wrong. I want to say it differently than it is. Like I paraphrase the title in my brain. So let me see so that I get it right. The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. And I will put the link to that and all the information in, like I said, the show notes or in the caption, so that if you want to check it out, you can. And the sentence in the book goes like this. It's going to very nicely summarize what I just kind of said in a lot of words. Let's see if I have the right space. When you say, I don't know what I want with my life, you don't know yourself. This is not the sentence that I was thinking about, but it still relates. The most important thing you can do is get to know yourself. And I'm actually just jumping ahead. And see, I'm kind of in the midst of not knowing right now. I didn't create formal notes for myself. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to kind of be in this energy and really be experiencing this I don't know and not knowing. Here it is. When you are on your own path, the future won't be clear. Because if it is clear, you are following someone else's blueprint. And so that's the sentence that was just like, well, holy shit. That makes absolute perfect sense. And so if you are at that place or you're letting that awareness that you don't know what you want life to look like, you don't know what your big dream is, you don't know what changes you need to make, like I talked about at the beginning of the episode, and that's where I jumped ahead to the next part. The place to start is to get to know yourself. Because if you don't know, if you're in that space of, I don't know what my dream is, I don't know what changes I can make or that I need to make to improve my health, my life, my wealth, my career, I don't know. You're in this really cool place of like, okay, the reason I don't know is because I've been following someone else's example or society's expectations or society's or the established framework. And it doesn't work for me. It doesn't feel right. It hasn't worked for me. And so the fact that that you are aware that you don't know, it's like, okay, I'm ready to break free from this following of the blueprint of someone else, and creating my own means I don't have that blueprint to follow. So getting to know yourself is how you find those answers. And how do you get to know yourself? Well, you start asking questions like, how do I want to feel? What do I want? Without the expectation, being okay with, an answer not coming to you right away. And then in that still liminal space of, okay, I'm asking myself, what do I want? How do I want to feel? And nothing is coming to me right away. Well, I'm just going to start doing something. I'm going to start doing something. And if you're really stuck in a place where I just don't even know what to do, then I don't like to start with this one, but everyone is in a different place and everyone has different experiences. Then you can ask yourself, what don't I want? What do I no longer want to feel like? What do I no longer want to be experiencing? What do I know I don't want? And then, like, metaphorically, I guess, turn around 90 degrees. And what is the opposite of that? If you're looking forward, let's say, like looking at me, if you're watching this on video, or looking forward and you can't answer what you do want or how you want to feel, then what would be the opposite thing? Whereas if you turned around and looked behind you, what don't you want? What do I want to distance myself from? What do I want to leave behind? And the reason that I'm asking you this question is basically two sides of the same coin. It's two sides of the same idea, because that's how working with the lunar cycle comes in. Because it doesn't matter what part of the lunar cycle you start working, or even if you don't really work with the moon, just looking at this idea, it's like when the moon is going from new moon, dark, to full moon, when it's big and bright, it's getting bigger, it's growing. So you will say, what do I want? What am I working towards? What am I moving towards? And then come the full moon, and as it goes back around to the next new moon, it's getting smaller in size. And you can say, hey, what do I want to move away from? What do I want to let go? But really, you're just looking at two sides of the same concept, two sides of the same coin to get the answer. in a way that either aligns with something that makes sense with your brain, something that is energetically more accessible to you, and something that makes sense depending on your life experience or your expectations. And that's a place to start. And the beautiful thing about living intentionally and ultimately also living cyclically and seasonally, following cycles and seasons, is that we get to do this over and over. And the more that you practice doing that and make it a regular part of your life, then really that's how you get to know yourself deeper and deeper and deeper, and deepen and strengthen your intuition, which is really, your soul, your intuition, your inner being, your guide, however whatever also resonates with you. This is the work being and becoming and learning about ourselves and showing up as that person and getting to know what the quirks are, what the nuances are, what next big dream can you have, the better and better you get to know yourself. And so that is really the kind of the gist of my talk today, or getting to know yourself and being okay with not knowing in order to get the answers, right? So yes, great, right? So where am I at? So that is really the reason that I'm bringing that up is because if you are in my Facebook group, my free group, or you checked out my YouTube channel, if you watch my monthly coaching and mentoring call, I talked about how I have released something, and I mentioned it at the beginning of this episode as well, how I just kind of on the spur of the moment, as I allowed myself to be okay with not knowing, and as I allowed the answers to come to me simply by taking the next step and leaning more into what feels good and what letting go of the things I don't want to be doing. And I don't want to get too much into it because, like I said, I'm going to talk about my personal experience in the Lunar Lessons episode that I'll be recording in the next few days or so. But real quick, as an example, I have talked about how in the winter season, I was more low key. I was doing just the bare minimum, like doing the lives and doing my podcast and things that I enjoy doing. But I stopped doing several things. And one of the biggest things that I stopped doing was sending out my Monday weekly newsletter. And the reason that I did that is because in this evaluation process of what do I want, what do I not want, what feels good, I realized the newsletter was taking me hours to put together, throughout the week. Like, what components do I need to put in there? What story do I need to write about? What do I need to put in there? And so in this allowing myself to do the bare minimum, if you will, I asked myself, why am I sending the newsletter? And the answer to myself was because I'm supposed to, or because I need to. I need to send out a newsletter. And that's not actually true. That's a story that I told myself. I see other people send out newsletters. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I need to send out a newsletter. And maybe I will someday. But in this moment, it was feeling very forced and it was taking a long time and I was not enjoying it. So I stopped sending the newsletter, and I talked a little bit about email gel, and that kind of forced me to not be able to send newsletters. And that's an episode or two back, I think, from this one. And I said, well, what do I want to do with email? And it's like, well, I just want to, share stuff when I have something to say. Like I would reach out to a friend or like send, friends and family or whatever emails. And yes, I'm a business, but I'm also a person. And so how do I want to interact? Because I'm ultimately the one creating what is being sent out. And I want it to be an actual reflection of me. And so I let go of the newsletter, and now there is no rhythm. There is no what days of the week am I going to send an email, or what is the topic of the email? I don't know. See, comes back full circle to the beginning of this episode. I don't know, and being okay with it. So I send less emails, but when I send them, they feel much more authentic. They don't feel forced at all. They're easier to put together because I'm just kind of sharing what it is I would be telling you like this with my voice in person or on the phone or on a Zoom. And so I don't know, and not knowing is really a great place to be, because you're ready to then intentionally move forward with creating your path and your version of what you want life to look like, even when it doesn't make sense to anybody else. So if you are in a place where not knowing feels scary, and even if it doesn't feel scary, because I know I saw a comment that it's not so much scary, and I can relate to that. Sometimes, depending on the circumstance, of course, nothing is, across the board the same thing. Sometimes it's not that it's scary, but it's like, okay, so how do I just go through that? What do I do when I don't know? Even if it's not scary, knowing how to get to the answer is also a place we might need help, right? And what I did is I had created a course several years ago, at least three years ago, possibly four. I have to go back and look at it, where I created it is a DIY follow along through the lunar cycle or through the new moons of the zodiac. I started with Aries because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac calendar. And I went all the way around all 12 new moons in each zodiac sign and created a jump in DIY course to help you kind of get an idea about what type of intentions you can set with each zodiac sign, associations that go along with each zodiac sign. And those associations are the element, the glyph, like the little symbol that is represented by, the planet, the archangel, the chakra, and the essential oil, and the goddess. So these are all energy things, right? They are all the element of earth, air, fire, water. There's that energy behind it. Goddesses and archangels, these are also energetics, like, yes, maybe deity based or just energy that you can work with or connect with. And I specifically, or I should say intentionally, left out things like tarot and crystals and things along those lines, even though I love them. And I have multiples of each of those things. I have lots of those things, but those are more external, right? They're external, where we talk about the energy centers, our chakras, and the idea or the concept of deity and connecting with that, or using the energies to work with that. The energy of the elements, right? These are all things that are not tangible, but are within us, accessible to us, or this bigger nebulous thing. It's not a tangible, touchable thing like a crystal. See, I mean, I'm just sitting here, and if you're watching this on a video, I'm holding up my labradorite. It's not tangible like that. And that's because, as great as these external things are, and like I said, I love them and use them, I have multiple decks as well. What we need is ourselves. We don't need the external things to be able to make changes in our life. They are not what make the change. They help us focus our energy. They help us get some clarity, possibly, but really we need ourselves and our connection with source or spirit or whatever relationship that is, even a relationship with your higher self, if that's what you look at it as. And I created this course to connect and familiarize people with those concepts. And you could jump in at any new moon and do that. And so I still have that. And over the last year, I've started adding playlists that kind of correspond to the zodiac signs as well. But the new inspired, thing that I'm doing is I am now adding the component of group coaching to the course. And the beautiful thing is, people, if this might not be a formula you're familiar with, once you get the course, you're going to automatically get this group coaching component. There's no end to it. there is no end to the coaching. It's going to be a once a month call. At least that's how I'm starting it out. Once a month call for group coaching. And we'll talk about these things like the chakras and the energies for each of the new moons. And since it's a calendar, like the Gregorian calendar, the months of the year, it repeats over and over. There's no end. There's no end to it. So I did put in the information that I sent out that you will have access to the group coaching calls for the life of the program. Now, I don't envision it ending because I work with the lunar cycle over and over, but this could be a few years. This could be a lifetime, and for one single payment of getting the course, and you have lifetime access to the course materials and then access to the group coaching as long as you want to, anytime you want to. You won't ever lose access to it, no matter if you go a year without participating. You won't lose access to it, and it's a one-time payment. And so the payment right now is the same as the price of the course, which is $44. And if you're watching this in the future, after April 1st, 2024, I apologize. That price will no longer be applicable, but the course still will be. The course and all the other stuff that I'm talking about will still be available. So because the course was a DIY, there's no live component to it whatsoever. So I am adding this, and everyone who already has the course automatically gets this upgrade without any additional payment, without any upgrade. It's already available. They have access to it. And so from right now, because today's date is March 27th is that right? 27th of 2024. Yes. Then until on April 1st, in just a few days, the price will go up. So in the next few days, if you get the course for $44, then you will be able to access the group coaching, and you will get any additional, things I decide to add. This is a living, breathing now program. So any upgrades will automatically be available to you, and you will not have to pay any upgrade fees as I go. This is not a normal program. This is not a typical formula for businesses to follow, but I am a part of another program that follows that model, and I get great benefit from it. I can jump in, ask a question, maybe a few weeks in a row, for a few months in a row, sit back and listen to other people when I have nothing, or not attend if I can't or don't want to, and I can jump back in at any time. So for this one-time payment of $44, you get everything. I don't actually know. Again, I don't know, right? I don't actually know what the price is going to go up to. But the $44 is representative of having a course and materials, lifetime access to, but there was no live component, no coaching, no program. Now there's a program. So it's going to go up significantly because of the time and the access and the feedback and coaching and mentoring that you go. And I'm not talking about like thousands. No. But it's not going to be in the double digits. Let me put it that way. It's not going to be in the double digits. And again, if you're listening to this sometime in the future, I don't know what it will go to because I don't know what's going to be added to it as I get inspired to add things. But you can always message me and ask or look it up. I will put the links in the information around and get all that goodness. So last thing I will invite you to is also in real time on September. Oh my Lord, I've jumped all the way into the fall. On March 30th, in just a few days, in my community space, I am having this month's free activity, free class workshop, and it is a scripting journaling workshop where I will be sharing you how you can use creative journaling, like junk journaling, art journaling, that type of thing, as an aid for scripting your best version, the best version of you into existence, scripting these dreams that you're going to be getting all this clarity on as you get to know yourself better. So that is my monthly free activity. You will be able to access it just by being in the Moon Manifesting Rockstars Facebook group. You will also find information in my later, starting tomorrow, in my YouTube community space, how you can register and attend if you are not on Facebook and don't do Facebook. You will be able to attend on Zoom. So you will find that information as of tomorrow, the 28th, on my YouTube community space. So that's what I have for you guys. So if you have questions and you're not watching the live component, feel free to email me any questions, feedback, if something is not clear. And the best email, or the email to send it to, is vision, VISION, at bluemoonmanifestations.com. And I will get you the information. You will find the links to all the things like the book and the course and all that in the information around this episode. Otherwise, if you have something else, please feel free to email me and I will get the information to you. And that is what I have for you guys. So let's see. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys next time. And for those watching live, I'm actually going to end the podcast editing there. So if you have questions and are live right now, let me check all the spaces, because I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook right now, and I'm in my group. Hi, Sophia. I saw you on there earlier. I don't find that scary. But yes, the steps along the way, identifying the steps, working with the lunar cycle, working with the moon is really the formula that I have found to help me get to know myself better and develop and create this relationship with myself to get clear on things and continually just follow that cycle. And hi, Lilo, I saw you jump on as well. I got your message. I will be getting back to you. Good to see you. Any other questions in any other places? Let me double check. I don't see any. So awesome, guys. This will, if you're not familiar, this same episode becomes a podcast episode. It'll be available as a podcast episode tomorrow on my YouTube channel, Blue Moon Manifestations, and on Spotify and all other places. It is the Rockstar Manifestors podcast. And you can find this, the condensed meat of the episode on those places and listen to it on the go. So, all right, guys, that's what I have for you this week. And I will talk to you. I will talk to you soon.